Our next keynote is Gabrielle Union. I know. Right? I know. And she is, obviously you guys have heard of her. She is an author, an actress, an activist, an advocate for women across many, many different platforms. And I think she's teaching all of us how best to use our voices to make true change. And so we're gonna hit on so many things. If you've been watching what she's been talking about in the past several years, actually, well before it was in vogue to speak honestly, you'll be astounded by the intelligence and empathy that you're gonna hear. Gabrielle knows I'm a little overexcited because the topics that we can cover are many. I'm going to kick it off with your book because I think that hits so many different topics, and I think we're going to need more wine, which many of you have probably come across. The subject matter ranges from your childhood to sexuality to race. It's really, there is no topic that's not covered, but you chose to come out, in my mind, and write that book, which also is funny. It's funny, it makes you cry, it makes you get chills. You decided to write that book, and I wanted to know what the impulse was to put it all down, put it all out there in such a tight package. In a nutshell, over the years I'd been speaking at different, colleges and corporations and just having, girl-to-girl conversations in the bathroom at the airport. And what I realized more than anything is that so many of us are suffering. And there are so many of us that are in so much pain, but we feel like we are on an island, that we are suffering alone. And so many of the things that different women would come up to me and talk about or want to talk about are things that I had experienced in my life. And there does come a point that if you can offer, it's breaking. If you can offer a little comfort and perhaps a path to healing when so many people are suffering and you don't, you're kind of an asshole. And I was not interested in being a jerk and hoarding the information that I had come across over all of my years, between it, be it therapy or just a lot of trial and error. And that, at the end of the day, was what I was hoping to offer with my book and the subsequent book tour, is just bring as many people together and let people know you're okay, you will be okay, you're not alone, there's nothing wrong with you, and that you're loved and I see you. That's amazing, and we all applaud you for that. So going out there and speaking as authentically, as transparently as you do, you talked about your rape well before the space was created to maybe do so among many. You were alone, not alone, I don't want to say no one else had spoken about rape, that wouldn't be accurate, but you chose to speak about things that were really, really hard, and I know that is part of making people more comfortable, but were you worried? Was there fear involved, and if so, how did you surmount that fear? A lot of people say, were you afraid to talk about, different things, whether that be sexual assault, whether that be fertility, whether that be infidelity, marriage issues, friend issues, homophobia. Were you afraid? How brave you are. And I don't look at it as brave, I look at it as necessary. There's so much that we internalize, that we hold to ourselves out of a fear of judgment, out of a fear of humiliation. And sometimes that fear can literally kill us. Sometimes that fear can put us in more harm's way. Sometimes we pass along that fear to the next generation. So I don't look at it as brave. I have seen the devil up close. I can't go any lower. You know what I'm saying? When you are being raped at gunpoint at work, I can't go any lower. When I watched my girlfriend at 35 die a slow death because she was afraid of finding out what the lump was in her chest, I can't go any lower. I've seen it. So at this point, I can only go up, and I'm trying to take as many people up with me as possible.
I mean, people were like, well, aren't you afraid that it's gonna affect your career? Honey, I've gone from it girl to shit girl more than I can remember. You know what I mean? And if I gotta live as a slave to other people's opinions, I'm not gonna ever be shit. I'm gonna be somebody else's shit and never my own. And whether I soar or sink, I wanna do it standing up with dignity and my integrity and not living somebody else's idea of who I should be. And I strongly encourage everyone to, you know, the other day I went on a little Twitter rant and I was like, baby, live your dreams. Because no matter what that dream is, there will be someone that hates on everything that you do. And they're generally hating from the couch. You know what I mean? It's not like Oprah's like trolling me and, you know, these are people who've never dared to dream what you've dreamed, who've never accomplished what you've wanted to accomplish. They're just sitting back judging you. And that judgment like renders so many of us immobile, you know, like even like with fertility, right? When I think of the antics basically that my fertility doctors would go through to make sure no one would see me in the lobby. And mind you, these lobbies are filled to capacity. If you are out there and dealing with fertility, baby, you are not alone. Your family is not alone. From 20s to, you know, all the way up. You are not alone. Fertility is not an older woman issue. It is an issue, period. But the idea that someone would see me, I mean, I'm going up back stairs. I'm like Spider-Man, like, you know. I was terrified of being found out as what? One of many people who deal with fertility? Found out that I'm defective, found out that I feel like I'm not capable of what I've been put on earth to be according to other people. Now I'm like, listen, I'm here at the OB, you know, gonna get a checkup. I don't need to come up the back stairs to take care of my own health. And I want to share with as many people as possible my journey, and that doesn't make me brave, that makes me a decent human being.
Well, it would be nice if we had more decent human beings right now, and I think that your example is amazing. You go into greater detail, which for our audience that is very focused on women's health, I think is very educational and inspiring, because you can speak at the macro about our responsibility and accountability, our opportunity, our right to understand our bodies. You also talked about the misconceptions and the misdiagnoses and the experience you went through, which was 20 years long. And I love that you feel obliged, it seems, and empowered to share it. Like you're like, I want to educate you. Can you talk a little bit more about that specific experience?
So towards the end of my fertility journey, I finally got some answers, because everyone had just sort of chalked it up to, you're a career woman, you've prioritized your career, you waited too long, and now you're just too old to have a kid, and that's on you for wanting a career. The reality is, I actually have adenomyosis, which is endometriosis of the muscle. There is nothing you can do about adenomyosis. The gag is that I had adenomyosis in my early 20s. And instead of someone diagnosing me, they were like, oh, you've got periods that last 9 and 10 days and you're bleeding through, you know, overnight pads. Not a mere inconvenience. Perhaps there's something more there. But every doctor I saw was like, let me put you on birth control, right? The catch-all. Note, if you are on birth control for anything other than actual birth control, to address or treat any sort of period issue, you are not actually addressing or treating any sort of period or reproductive issue. You are masking it. The pill can mask all kinds of things. It is amazing at preventing pregnancy. Not so great with addressing adenomyosis. So what they decided to just tell me was, old age, and shame on you for prioritizing career instead of getting it cracking, having a baby, whether you had the right person or not, was something that could have been diagnosed in my 20s when I was very clear about the issues with my period. So I ended up on birth control for 20 years, masking it. And I don't know why I thought that I was having a period for 20 years, because the whole point of birth control is to stop ovulation. So if you aren't ovulating, the blood that you are having once a month isn't actually a period. I don't know why I didn't put that together. So when I got off birth control to attempt to have a baby, guess what came back? Actually never left. It was like, oh, hey, bitch. You thought I was gone? No, I've just been here chilling for 20 years, getting thicker, doing what I have been doing. So there's a lot of things that we discover through this journey and through our fertility journeys, through our reproductive journeys, that, I mean, if we were to be really honest, we could charge all kinds of people with medical malpractice for not taking what we're saying seriously, for not actually treating the issue. But if we don't know, we don't know, and I didn't know. So now I feel I have to share with people my entire journey. I don't want to just show up one day and be like, here's my baby. And everyone's like, how? How did that happen? I want to let you guys know that there can be more to the story. And when you're talking to your OB, and when you're talking to your doctor, when you go to Planned Parenthood, because some of us use Planned Parenthood because we don't have insurance and they offer low-cost medical services. Be very clear about what it is that's actually happening in your body. Because there's a lot of hormonal things that we're all experiencing that's actually not being treated, it's just being masked. So just be very clear when we're making our choices, our medical choices, that we have all of the information, and they have explored all of the possibilities about what could be going on in our bodies.
That's great. And I think that you can see from the audience, a lot of us cover women's health issues, normalizing conversations, and this audience is reaching millions of people every day with their own stories in this zone. And I think it's extremely inspiring to see how you've done that. I'm aware that you were just to put this out there, I think, doctors in by the time you were your
properly diagnosed.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you recommend? I mean, there are women who aren't going to make it to the fourth doctor. I think you're doing an unbelievable job of advancing awareness. What do you recommend for these guys to put out there as a message to get diagnosed properly, whether it's this issue or others? Do you keep seeing additional people?
I mean, since I've been very open about my reproductive challenges, my fertility challenges, people are coming up to me. I've met, probably in the last week, 4 different women who had major fibroid surgery. And fibroids are very common with women of color. And there's also complications that if you don't address your fibroids, if and when you ever decide to have children, these fibroids can pose an issue. They can also pose other health issues. But again, if you go into the doctor and you're like, these are my symptoms, and they give you blanket diagnoses, the problem is we don't know, we're not doctors. But it's okay to ask follow-up questions. It's okay to come armed with your WebMD. Be like, I know that maybe but I looked up my symptoms and this is what I think. It's okay to get second opinions. It's okay to say, actually, that doesn't seem to match what I actually have. Are there other options? Could this be something else? You don't have to just take one diagnosis and assume that it is correct if you are still having issues. Because all too often, we are swept in and we are swept out, And our lives, our bodies, they're important, and they have to be important to us to then make sure they're important to the people that we pay to treat our bodies. And sometimes we don't have, our self-worth isn't where it needs to be, and so we're like, okay, yeah, thanks, I just feel so grateful that you even got me in, and it's like you still leave with the same issues that you started with and no solutions. So it's okay to be dogged. It's okay to be that pesky patient. if pesky means holding people accountable for the jobs that they're doing. And that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad client.
Mm-hmm. And I think that you've also spoken a lot about using your platform, your voice to change conversations. Again, the collective power of this room is many millions of women who are being reached, often through personal stories. Do you have any thoughts or advice on how to, many of us are at the beginning of our content creation careers. How do you, you're a businesswoman, how do you build it? How do you build yourself? Finish that. Just sort that out.
I had wished I'd done the work on myself before I got to Hollywood. I wish I had done the deep dives into my childhood, into larger issues that I had faced before I got to Hollywood, before I started working, before I got a production company. Because a lot of times we start dealing with things midstream, and a lot of things are misdirected. Somebody's getting cussed out that don't deserve it. That was for your daddy. That was actually for your overbearing mama. That was for your hating ass sister. That was a dream killer. That was your day one best friend, as I say, that has been hating since day one. But we will take it out on somebody else. So when we really go deep into our own issues, you know, as they say, hurt people hurt people. So before we become the hurt person that's hurting someone else, let's address our own hurts first, which is hard. Acknowledging our own stuff is hard, but it makes it a lot harder later on down the line. So when you are creating a business, when you are partnering, when you're looking for investors, when you're using your own money, a lot of the crap that we have had since childhood, we bring into every one of those rooms. And it generally doesn't turn out the way that we would like it to. So if we go into something, let's say you're looking for an investor, and we just feel lucky that anyone wants us, right? A lot of us just want to be chosen, whether that be by a certain group of friends, a romantic partner, or in business. A lot of times we just feel lucky to be there. Somebody's lucky enough, we're lucky enough. If you have a great idea, there's gonna be more than one suitor. You can be choosy. Woo. That's just, as my cousins say, point blank and period. That's just what it is. So once you get down to the nitty gritty of an investor, now, I mean, we should have been doing this all along, but is that investor problematic? I'd like to think there's no problematic people in this room, but if it's like benefiting from the fruit of the poisonous tree. If your investor is problematic, take the extra time, do the background checks. Find out, are there judgments against these people? Find out how other relationships have worked. Find out their relationship with women. When you have offline conversations, people will tell you all the tea you need. Make sure that you are partnering with, allowing people to invest in your ideas that are worthy, that deserve it. Never feel lucky. They are lucky. They work for you, not the other way around. And trust and believe, how many times have we seen women go under for being in close proximity to a problematic man? But part of that comes with us feeling lucky. I got chosen. This person sees me. There's going to be more than one. Great ideas are going to have plenty of suitors. Don't ever forget that. And it's okay to be like, not you. It's okay to say no. It is absolutely okay to say no. I know we are all conditioned to be agreeable, to not ask anything that could be uncomfortable. You know what's uncomfortable? Having your company blow up because of a problematic person. What's uncomfortable is not realizing that the problematic person is going to take out their crap on you and your company and destroy it from within. Problematic is someone giving you money but don't really have a plan because they don't really actually believe in you. They thought that your company would hit big in the first 6 months, and when it doesn't, because most companies don't, they drop you like a hot-boiled egg. And now you're back to square one because you chose somebody that really wasn't invested in you or your idea or the long term. Again, ask questions, ask follow-up questions, do the background search, ask around. Never feel lucky.
Amazing. Okay, so, and it is interesting that about 80% of hashtags that are hashtag grateful, hashtag lucky, hashtag are posted by women. So I think your point is very well taken, that we do feel so fortunate to have the seat, to have the stage, to have the attention, and it's really hard to lean back from that almost. So I wanted to ask you about the experience.
Well, you know what's interesting? Let's go back to that. Why is it that hashtag grateful, hashtag blessed, hashtag, lucky, those are hashtags primarily used by women? How many times have you seen a man feel blessed or lucky? They were like, no, I had a great idea, and here we are. Gratitude for what? Having a good idea and people believing in it? Gratitude is when you go the extra mile, beyond the job description. When people want to stay late because they have that much belief. That is gratitude. You know what I mean? Let's hold other people accountable for the words that we use and the words that we embrace. All of us should be grateful for something. We're here, we made it. Hashtag grateful, hashtag gratitude. Some people feel blessed to be in the room. Most men don't because they assume they're supposed to be here. We're all supposed to be here. You know what I mean? You look at these tables, there's a bit of overflow. Hey guys, when you get in a room like this where it feels jam-packed, make more space. I'd rather have a room with overflow than not enough chairs. And some people are just happy, hashtag grateful, to be here. But that gratitude doesn't extend to the next person. Gratitude is creating a platform where we are all seen, we are all included. Any kind of movement, any kind of job, any kind of vision should have intersectionality. That there should be real inclusion. There should be real solidarity. How many of your faves participated in Black Women's Equal Pay Day yesterday? Or was that just a day for one woman? Black women's equal pay should be an issue and a cause that we are all up in arms for, everybody in this room. You know what I'm saying? In Hollywood, we should all be dying to see Crazy Rich Asians because it's been 25 years since there have been Asians accurately reflected on screen. 25 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these issues are all of our issues. Hashtag grateful. Expand the gratitude. That is all of our responsibilities.
I think the reference to men not needing to use the hashtag is a wonderful way. So Caucasian high five. Caucasian prayer hands. Because intersectionality, we've talked a lot about that. BlogHer has had we endeavor perpetually to do the right thing. We don't always do the right thing. We fuck up all the time. And I think it's amazing to have women like you who can help us see moments when we are not being sensitive, when we're not being thoughtful. And that's something that, we're only here once. So not on the stage, but like in this life. So it's good to have that dialogue. You've talked a lot about intersectionality and said things that I think are really insightful and help us to move forward. If you could just tell us a bit about where you think we need to go. I know not the perfect end of the world, end of the movement of any kind for women, but what's urgent? What's most urgent? What do we need to address?
Well, shit. You want to throw out a number of 1,000 topics? There's I can't prioritize. We should be, could we prioritize equal justice? Should we prioritize mandatory minimums? Should we prioritize the prison complex? Should we prioritize equal access to health care? Should we prioritize, real seats at the table? Under a very large umbrella, there can be no company, there can be no movement, there should be no space, whether that's social media, any way you want to cut it. If that movement, job, company, relationship is not truly inclusive, if your politics are not truly intersectional, they are self-serving. And if you get called out on your self-serving politics or your self-serving company or whatever that is, do not cry your crocodile tears. Do not get sensitive. Do better. Decenter yourself and listen. Everything ain't about you. Using myself as an example. Me and my husband saw Crazy Rich Asians, the book, at the airport, and we're like, oh, Crazy Rich Asians. We put it on social media, and the company that's putting out Crazy Rich Asians is like, well, you guys do a screening, And I said, well, yes, we can, but I don't want to center us. That would be a mistake to center us. We will pay for a screening. We will support it. We will amplify that. But it should be an Asian celebrity or influencer or business person that we are looking to. And the rest of us should be amplifying that message. To center us is a problem. Dwayne and Gabrielle speak about what it's like to be Asian. So it's like when you're looking at, or when people say, I'm speaking to women, I'm speaking to black women. Guess who all has vaginas? All women. So we don't have to use different phrases. If you're talking about women, I hope we're all talking about all women. And when people say women, and black women and Latino, so we just got othered, and the women, what? Huh? So who did you really mean? Who are you really talking about? Oh, yourself. You've got to be okay with decentering the movement. And it may not be immediately advantageous to you. Obviously we're all sort of self-centered people. We work towards our own advantage. But if we're really trying to lead movements, if we're really trying to lead companies, if we're really trying to make the world a better place, if you got the kind of voice that always has a microphone, pass it off. We got it. We heard it. Pass it off. Great. And be okay with that. Don't be like, but this is what just hand it over. Call a thing a thing. I have no idea what kind of conversations people have in the comfort of their own home, but if you know that people are saying some problematic shit, call them out as it comes out of their mouth. I don't care if it's Christmas, Thanksgiving. If you stand by for intolerance in your own home, you damn well are standing by for intolerance in your place of work, wherever that is. Are you really a part of the solution, or are you low-key actively part of maintaining the status quo? Because the status quo is why we're here where we are. So, all that in a nutshell.
Dude, you can tell that the endless amount of content, but also intelligence that we're vibing on right here is a little overwhelming. So I am hitting you with everything under the sun.
Please.
But I know you said you can take it. Okay, so kind of moving towards, I know we can't ever leave, we don't want to leave the stage ever, but the women who have really supported you, those teammates, those sisters, the wolf pack, whatever, however you conceive of those people, who are they and why are they special?
In my immediate circle, there's my shenanigans group chat. They're not famous. They're just the women and men that are closest to me that I share inappropriate memes with, as we all do. But then there's like, my Hollywood sisters that, everyone knows, from Sanaa Lathan to Regina Hall, to all the Reginas. Regina Hall, Regina King, anyone that I've ever named as a WCW is part of that. But more than not, my wolf pack, they're people I don't even know. Sometimes the people who are cheering loudest for you, you've never even met. They're going to give you opportunities that the people closest to you wouldn't even think of. So what I have become open to is I got a gang of friends, I got a gang of supporters, I got a gang of queens and kings who are lifting me up daily. When I am circling the drain, it's that woman at Ralph's who's like, you'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like when you see people having a hard damn time, it's okay to be like, I see you. You got this. And it's that kind of stuff that lifts me up. Because I don't get to see my Hollywood friends all the time. Everybody's busy. Thank God. I mean, now that, time's up, me too, everybody's got a job. So we're all trying to make space. We're like, while we're in here, the water's warm, jump in. But it's the people I see in the airport, the people I see walking my dog, and it's the people that I hope that I reach out to, that reach back to me via social media. I don't know, that I feel see me in a way that I've never been seen, but part of that is me lifting the veil, me saying, this is what I am, this is who I am. If you like it, dope. If not, feel free to unfollow. You don't have to leave a nasty comment. Like something as simple as last week, I had thought I did my hair cute, you guys. Like I thought I was really doing it. And I don't know why my phone hates me, but I guess it has decided like what articles I want to see. Like after the trending topics, it's usually like Nebraska football and like Beyonce, basically. But last Friday, I get alert on my phone from a blog, and I generally don't follow blogs that speak negatively of me or my friends. So I generally don't see this kind of stuff. And it was Gabrielle Union, old and ugly. And I was like, phone, do we need to go to therapy? Like, why are you sharing this with me?
That's so amazing.
Like, what? And I just circled the drain. And it, like normally, again, I don't generally let these things bother me, but sometimes shit just lands. And, as strong as you want to be and as evolved as you want to be and as many times as I Skype my therapist, I was just numb. And I felt defeated. And the day hadn't even started. I literally had not gotten out of bed. I like to check Twitter to make sure the world hasn't ended. It hadn't, but apparently I had turned old and ugly overnight. And it killed me. And then I never read the comments. This day I did. And it was all these people saying, why would you do this? She's this, she's that, she's an advocate for women. Like, why would you? And there were all these people I never met, probably will never meet, who saw something in me and felt the need to uplift. And that's exactly what I need before I get choked up. So if any of one of you guys was out there, I appreciate it.
Well, I think that's what this community is all about, is seeing each other and being seen and trying really hard to recognize and to connect. So we are #grateful to you. I guess this is something we can be grateful for, not for our seat, but for this kind of amazing intelligence and kindness and thoughtfulness. I think we can all be grateful. So thanks, dude.
Thank you, and thank you guys. Really, thank you, truly.